Hello, Doctor Who, episode 9, Flatline. Where do we start? What a great, awesome beginning. Right, it starts off with, it starts off in the flat, the guy's on the phone, real tense moment, something weird's going on, you know, help me, they're all around me, bam, gone, straight into the wall, absorbed, in comes the credits, kicks in, what a start, already we're back to what Doctor Who should be. You know, then we're in the TARDIS and Clara, she's on the date, they've been somewhere, and they end up sort of getting back. She thinks she's going to be back 5 minutes before, you know, she's meant to meet the boring boyfriend, you know, which I'll go into that in a minute. And they end up in Bristol, and then the Doctor's noticed something funny with the TARDIS, that he gets out and it's shrunk, and it's hilarious, you know, when he's like, they're both trying to get outside the door. He's like, can't understand what's going on, and he gives her, you know, he says, go look around, I'm going to go see what's going on. And then she goes through a window, she's got sonic screwdriver, she's got a headpiece and psychic paper, you know, he's given it, and then she turns up, and there's these community workers, you know, doing community service. A guy approaches her, and the said people's disappearing, lots of weird shit going on, and they've got a right Josworth running it all, you know, these community workers. He's a real nasty piece of work, and it just goes to show about small-minded people in life, and he's one of them. And you know, he's saying paint over your tag, and he's a bit cruel, and they all start, Clara's looking at these, like, you know, like people have laid letters and candles and stuff, and they shout over, and it just floats along normally. But then you see people, like wall lines of people in the subway, and he's going to paint over them all. You know, the Jobsworth guy, Christopher Fairbank, head at community service, and she sort of starts developing a relationship with the Tagger guy, and you know, anyway, they end up going around some house or something, and this is jumping ahead, and they're investigating, you know, something in the house. She's been, because she's got this thing in her head where the Doctor can see and hear what she sees, and they start figuring it out, you know, that the murals and the things on the wall is the skin, and the nervous system, they thought it was artwork, and they start attacking them, you know, in the house and that, and I mean, it's really intense, and they get out of there. I mean, what a creepy episode. I mean, skin on the walls and stuff. So, I mean, you know, it comes to the conclusion that, you know, the Doctor starts figuring out that whatever this is, two-dimensional life forms, not from this universe, because he thinks the TARDIS knows everything in our multiverse, but it don't. These things are from something that's only 2 dimensions, where we're 3, and you know, the old sort of thing, it chases after them, and all these people start coming out of the wall, and she's with community paper, and she tries to use psychic paper on Jobsworth guy, but he's got no imagination whatsoever. He don't see anything. I mean, he's a twat, a complete twat. But Christopher Fairbank, you know, you were good enough. Being the same pet, you're an awesome actor. So, and it all moves about, but the story is going and going. It's moving along at such a fast pace, which is pretty incredible. And they end up in this like old tunnel where all of them, you know, with these things afterwards, the few emotions going on, you know, actors that are going to get it, you know, the pointless extras, and you know, that's it really. So anyway, they get down tunnel, then it all starts then, and it's hilarious because the Doctor's TARDIS room, you keep seeing his big head sticking out. I mean, there's one thing where he passes her a hammer through, you know, a bag, and that is hilarious, you know, when, like, TARDIS bag. And you know, there's like bits like that, and then the relationship between them two is really good. Like, they work so well together, and it all gets a bit deep in tunnel. So like number 52, the one of the community guys, he gets zapped into the wall. Train turns up. We'll get there in a minute because I'm jumping ahead. And he's going, and anyway, they move out of there, and the real outdoors have been flattened, and you know, Henry's got the time, Doctor's talking. Anyway, that Jobsworth guy gets the TARDIS and throws it down the thing, and it drops down onto a railway track. Well, by this time, with it, the bang and all this, the Doctor, you know, there's no shields, there's no power. The TARDIS is fucked. So, like, the TARDIS is like on the middle of the railway track, and he sees the train. It's like you see his big head looking at doors, which is hilarious. Because he's that type does like miniature little doors. And he's looking out and he's trying to talk to her, and she turns around and says, "Look, Doctor," he says, "well, I can't, there's no what I can do with that set, you know." And she said, "Well, try an Adams Family," you know, and I couldn't stop laughing. Adams Family. So they stuck his hand out, and he's like moving, you know, with his hand like that with TARDIS, which was just absolutely funny. And he gets off, and then he just TARDIS falls back a bit, and he goes nice with the train goes past. And then we sort of jump onto the other train driver, and you know, he stops the train and all this, and he takes it. He sort of takes it all in his stride with what's going on. So Tagagan, think about ramming train into it, because it's like the coming like dimensional thing, you know, all energy in that. Because like their energies cancel TARDIS dimensional energy out, because Time Lords have obviously mastered dimensional technology. And somehow it shrunk the TARDIS parameters there coming in at 2D, you know. And maybe if the TARDIS had known about it in advance, they might not have been. So like a balance going on. And then sort of like the Doctor figures out, now are the aliens trying to contact us, or are they like, you know, because they're two-dimensional. To us it'll all be, you know, to them their concepts of it and our concepts of them. But they're monsters. They have just killed so many people. All them people down the subway, the community workers, there's been others, people that have disappeared. The police officer, she got it when they went round to the house. And, you know, I mean, the death rate tonight were quite high. You know, I was shocked. And the Doctor were quite cold about it. Well, I don't think he is cold. It's just how he deals with it. But I think he does sort of care. So, you know, we're getting to the tunnel, and you know, there's a couple of them, there's only about 3 of them left at the train driver. And the tanker guy, he gets on, he's going to ramp train into it. And she gets on train and says, "Well, what are you doing? You know, you don't have to do this." "Oh, well, I'm going to do it, you know, because I'm going to, you know." She said, "No, just stick my hairband on thing." And that's it, really. Do you know what I mean? She uses that, and they jump off the train. The train just gets absorbed into a two-dimensional thing, you know. So that becomes two-dimensional, right? And that's two-dimensional. And it's like, you know, they get into the room and these things are trying to take more form into our dimension. And now by this time you don't know if they're attacking, infiltrating or what, you know, because I mean the death loss so far is quite spectacular for this episode of Doctor Who. And you know, we move on where she really comes into one. She really pulls it because she can't contact, because the TARDIS gets so small it goes into self-rig like defense mode. It comes and it goes into a square and like shields itself. And I think he's trapped inside, and it's not good for him because I don't know, life support might have been turned. I don't know, or he's trapped in there forever, you know, because this dimensional thing, you know, made it offensive because they don't want these things inside the TARDIS. And when it changed, it looks like the Pandorica. You know, I thought that looks like the Pandorica, that like a miniature version. And anyway, things are getting bad. The traps, it's in the tunnels, and it's flattened all the doors, and Clara's reversing it. And the Doctor needs energy. He hasn't got any energy because, like, you know, with dimensional shifts neutralised TARDIS energy, it was pushed it back in this balance. So anyway, there's Zapping Door with a two-dimensional energy. And she figures out that, you know, so for the Doctor, that, you know, puts this thing on there, and all energy shoots into Pandorica. You know, and it just like explodes with energy. Doctor thinks it's over, suddenly it all explodes. Big thing with TARDIS spinning about everywhere, and you know, out comes the Doctor. Bang! You know, I'm here. You know, gives them the big speech. I am the Doctor. You know, I am protector of this universal dimension and this plane of existence. You know, and you know, I thought you were monsters. You know, I don't know if you're here to infiltrate or whatever. or be nice. Yeah, but I deal with monsters, and what you're doing is wrong. You've killed so many people. I will stop you. And he does. Basically, he comes out and he comes into himself. He is the Doctor, you know. And Peter Capaldi surpassed himself tonight in this character role. He really did, and just zaps them out with TARDIS energy, and they get wiped out or sent back to the other dimension. But there were, you know, and that was it really. And then he brought them all out with TARDIS back to where they landed earlier. Train driver gives her a hug, just stares at the Doctor and walks off. The tagger guy, he gives her a hug, just stares at the Doctor, goes off. He's great. They're all grateful for him, but I don't think, you know, they have to. And the Jobsworth guy, he just comes out and says, well, they all deserve to die. He said they were all scum anyway, you know what I mean? You know, and I thought, well, God, you know, a Doctor stood there and you could tell he was ashamed of humanity with him. And he said, you know, I've saved the wrong people. You know, sometimes you save the wrong people. But she says, well, you did save the world and that. But it was a high price to pay this in this week's episode. So, absolutely superb. And it was interesting because, I mean, like, there was an interesting bit when he says to her, you know, when he's in communication, he says, well, what do you do? He pretends, she says, well, you'd lie to him, you'd say that he's up, you know, give him a false sense of hope, then they'll run off, you know, which was interesting. And them two, they work so well together, her and him, because he's like a crotchety old man, but he's so Pertwee as well. He's got this Pertwee-esque thing about him, which he just reminds me of, and he's a bit of First Doctor there, he's a bit crotchety. But I think he's jealous, he just wants her to himself, you know, so he can go off places. And the boyfriend business, when he's phoning up and he's sat somewhere going, how are you, where are you, and all this. And the Doctor figures out she's been lying to him. She's not happy about it. But she retaliates about his attitude. You know, she knows him, because she's walked through his lives, and she's always been there. So she's got an idea of him more than any really other assistant, you know, and she does sort of give back more. Do you know what I mean? And he does get round to saying something really nice about her. You know, she hears him. He mentions it. He says, "Oh well, you know, he's like still trying to deny it," and she knows he meant it, but even then he's still trying to turn that on her. You know what I mean? But she's quite happy, you know, and. Absolutely good. I don't think there's much else to say. I mean, I could go on about this for hours. I've done this longer. I like to do this for about 6 minutes. But tonight's episode, I'm going to give it a score in a minute. It's going to be a good one. But we finally got to the little couple of seconds at the end. Missy. Again. Hoping, you know, we're hoping for a bit like 10 minutes or something. We got a bit more of an inkling of who she is. You know, something. We don't. She's just got an iPad. She's going, oh, Clara Oswald, you know. So she's the target. So obviously, I think this is how she's going to leave. I know she meant to be going Christmas Day in that episode, but I think this is the start of her leaving now, because I think there's only 2 episodes left, and I'm at a convention on the final episode. So. It's going to be a late review on that. So, but who is Missy? What is the Missy? I mean, I've heard the stuff, she's the Rani. Another thing, you know, where Missy lives in the spaceship, or the TARDIS, they're all saying that's the Gallifreyan Matrix now. You know where Time Lords go when the brain goes into there. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't know if she's the Rani now. I'm starting to wonder. It will be interesting. Looks like she can't be the Master. I know they said the Master will coming back for the final 2 episodes, but yet again, they're out to mislead us, aren't they? So anyway, I'm going to give this episode a 5. Spot on 5. I'm going to give it another backup 5 for story, threads, relationship and everything else. And I'm going to take 1 point away for this pointless relationship of her boyfriend. He's hardly been in it. He serves no purpose. Just do not point putting it in. We've been through the Amy pond, dropping them off, going out for a night out, popping in, taking them off across the universe and coming back. Stop trying to ground him to earth. Get him out there, meeting the baddies. Get him out there, meeting the aliens. Just get him out there, you know. But tonight, he was the Doctor. So 5 for Superbos. and 5 minus 1 for everything else. So please subscribe to my vids. You know, what more can I say? And share my vids, and any negative, positive responses, let me know. Right, see you for the next one. Have a great weekend.